Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Unlocking Funding for Fire Station podcast series.
Yes, we're really excited to launch this series. And before we get too far, let's set the stage. Today's episode is based on the research and work done by Ridgeline Municipal Strategies with fire departments all over California.
Exactly. We've taken what we've learned from working with dozens of fire departments, real projects, real funding challenges, and shaped it into practical guidance for fire departments that need better facilities.
Right, and let's start with the problem. The reality is a lot of fire departments are operating out of stations that are decades old. They are worn out, often physically and functionally obsolete. Some of these buildings weren't even designed for modern fire service. They might have been converted from something else or built in an era when engines were smaller and staffing looked totally different.
Yep, we've all walked into stations where the engine barely clears the bay doors, there's no space for training, and firefighters are sleeping in dorms that feel more like, well, like makeshift setups, not professional facilities.
Mm-hmm. And when you're coming back from call literally wearing cancer on you, you need to be able to get the gear properly cleaned.
And these aren't just inconveniences. They directly impact response times, safety, morale, all of it.
Exactly. And then you add inflation to the mix.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
The cost of construction materials and labor has gone up sharply in the last 5 years. A station that cost $6 to $8 million a few years ago, that same project could easily be $15 or even $20 million today.
Which is wild.
And these costs don't just wait for you. They keep climbing.
Right. So you get this cycle where departments delay projects because they're too expensive, and then when they revisit them, the price tag is even higher. It's like chasing a wildfire.
It feels overwhelming, really. Where do you even start?
Exactly. And that's why long-term planning is so essential. A 15 to 20-year capital facilities plan gives everyone clarity. It spells out which facilities are needed, when they're needed, and roughly how much they'll cost.
Exactly. And it's not just clarity for the agency itself, it's readiness. Funding opportunities, state and federal earmarks, grants, financing programs, they pop up fast. If you're not prepared, you miss them.
Exactly. Think of it like preparing for a fire call. You don't start looking around for your gear after the alarm rings. You're already ready to respond.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. A department with laid out facility plans, financial calculations, and ongoing community engagement already in place, that's like a crew dressed and on the rig when the tones drop.
So, what happens when a district doesn't have that plan?
Honestly, they miss out. Money goes to shovel-ready projects. Legislators back projects that are clearly scoped and documented. Without that prep, even really good projects can get overlooked.
Yeah, and that's where funding options come in. Broadly, we can put them into three buckets: mitigation fees, grants and earmarks, and debt financing.
First up, mitigation fees, also known as development impact fees. These are a staple in California. They make sure new development contributes its fair share toward expanding fire facilities.
Right, and you don't have to be in a high growth area for it to matter. Even if you're only seeing 20 or 30 new homes a year, that still adds up. Over 10 years, that's real money that can go toward equipment or station expansion.
Exactly. But here's the catch. You need a capital facilities plan and a nexus study to justify those fees. No plan, no study, no money.
Yeah, and that planning piece keeps coming up. It's the same thing with grants.
Exactly. Everyone loves the idea of free money, right?
Yeah, who doesn't?
But the reality is most of the well-known programs like AFG or SAFER cover staffing, equipment, or apparatus. They don't cover the actual station construction or remodel.
That's where earmarks and direct appropriations come in. We've seen districts capture millions for new stations because they had their plan ready and worked with the right legislative partners.
And lawmakers want to fund projects that are clear, well-documented, and community-backed. Again, it ties back to having that plan.
So, if fees and grants don't cover the full cost, and they rarely do, the third bucket is financing.
Exactly. That's when agencies borrow to build now and pay back over time. It's actually the right thing to do. The people who are getting your services are the ones paying for your facilities in the form of taxes. This way you don't have to tax your current residents to save up for facilities that will benefit the next generation.
And there are a bunch of tools out there: general obligation bonds, mellow roofs, special assessments, lease purchase financing, USDA loans for rural districts. Each one works differently.
Yeah, and with all of them, the key question is who's paying the debt?
Right. General obligation bonds are repaid through property taxes across the district, but you've got to get strong voter approval. It can be really difficult to get, but it is possible if you build your community outreach right.
Mello-Roos and special assessments narrow it to specific areas or developments, but you still need voter approval.
When you cannot get voter approval and there is room in your own budget, lease purchase financing works very similar to a normal loan. It usually pulls from the general fund. And USDA loans are really helpful for rural agencies, but they come with long applications and strict conditions.
So there's no one-size-fits-all. Every agency has to look at its own financial capacity and what kind of support they can get from the community.
Exactly. And that's why municipal finance professionals, municipal advisors, bond counsel, underwriters, they're such an important part of the team. They help departments weigh the options and figure out which tool makes the most sense.
So, let's recap. Fire service today is dealing with real challenges. Stations that are outdated and construction costs that just keep climbing.
Yeah, and the way forward starts with a long-term capital facilities plan. That plan is the foundation. It guides the department, and it also makes it ready to move forward when funding opportunities come up.
Yeah, and then it's about pulling from those three funding buckets. Mitigation fees capture growth, grants and earmarks bring in outside support, and financing spreads the cost over time.
Right. And usually it's not just one of those. It's a balanced mix. That's what actually gets projects built.
So, in our next episode, we're going to dive deeper into the financing tools. Bonds, loans, alternative approaches. We'll get into how to match the right tool to your agency's situation.
And if you're listening right now thinking, where do we even start? Reach out to us at Ridgeline Municipal Strategies. We specialize in helping fire departments build long-term financing plans, design funding strategies, and move from concept to construction.
Yeah, don't let rising costs or outdated facilities hold your community back.
Contact Ridgeline today and let's build the future of your fire department together.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Unlocking Funding for Fire Station Projects.